Good morning, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News. Today is Thursday, the 16th day of January, 2025. And if you recall yesterday, we talked about there was confusion reigning in the Middle East with respect to a hostage deal, a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, and they were supposedly very close to having this come to pass. Well, yesterday, after we finished the program, about an hour or two later, it was announced first in Qatar, then Donald Trump announced that the hostage deal was completed, the ceasefire was completed, and Trump took the credit for it with his new envoy there in the Middle East. Joe Biden comes out later and he takes all the credit. He said, you think it's a joke? Is that a joke?" When they said, "Shouldn't Trump get some of the credit?" So everybody's trying to take credit for this. And so last night, Israeli time, Netanyahu gave a message. He and his cabinet, they're going to meet at 10 a.m. this morning Israeli time and agree it and sign an agreement, and it will take place supposedly Sunday at 12:30, something like that. The ceasefire will begin. Well, that's all well and good, and that's what was supposed to happen. And so yesterday, I was going to do a story about this because once the word got out, excuse me, universally, there was condemnation from all the Israeli websites. You'd read the comments. How dare they do this? When the details, some of the details of the ceasefire were mentioned. You mean these soldiers died in vain? You're going to leave Gaza, on and on and on and on. And now Netanyahu's office said he's not going to say anything until the deal has been. Hamas has agreed to all the points of the deal, and the deal's been signed. So that's where we left it. So, okay, so it's going to be 10 o'clock Israeli time today. All right, so I wake up in the middle of the night here, where it's past 10 o'clock, and now it's 6:30 in the morning here. That was 4 or 5 hours ago, 6:30 in the morning in the Pacific time zone. And here is the headline, and I kid you not, we cannot make this stuff up. Netanyahu, Hamas has reneged on parts of the ceasefire agreement. The Israeli cabinet will not convene until the mediators notify Israel that Hamas has accepted all elements of the agreement, said the Israeli Prime Minister's office. Hamas has reneged on parts of the ceasefire agreement announced on Wednesday in an effort to extort last-minute concessions, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said today, Thursday. The Israeli cabinet will not convene until the mediators notify Israel that Hamas has accepted all elements of the agreement, according to the Prime Minister's office. Now, remember, they were supposed to meet at 10 a.m. Right now, Israeli time, they're 10 hours ahead. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. They still haven't met. So this is why the confusion is here. Now, supposedly Hamas's political bureau said, "Oh no, we're committed to the ceasefire agreement announced by the mediators." At the same time, the finance minister, Smotrich Religious Zionist Party, signaled on Thursday today it would likely exit Netanyahu's coalition over the ceasefire agreement with Hamas. They said we can't be party to something like this. A party official called the crisis serious and real, according to Israeli Channel 12. Supposedly 33 hostages out of the 98 held by Hamas in Gaza are set to be released during the first phase of the deal. The agreement specifies that 9 sick and injured captives are being exchanged for 110 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences in Israeli prisons. Israeli forces will gradually withdraw from the Philadelphia corridor along the Gaza-Egypt border. The withdrawal will begin the 42nd day of the first phase after the release of the final hostage for that phase. Now, again, Israel is saying no. We're not agreeing to leave the Philadelphia corridor. That's something that we haven't agreed to. So Netanyahu spoke Wednesday night to Donald Trump, thanked him for helping this put the ceasefire agreement together. Called also Biden thanked him. And so here we go. And so right now, as we are speaking, there's no meeting of the Israeli cabinet to certify a deal because supposedly Hamas hasn't given the okay that they are accepting the deal as is. What they are demanding is, and here's the thing that's keeping this. There's a large number of prisoners that are in the Israeli jails, Palestinian prisoners, that Israel was going to determine who gets released. And Hamas says, no, 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 no. We have to tell you who is going to be released. We're going to let you know which murderous prisoners you will release. And Israel said, wait a minute, that's not part of the deal. The deal specifically says Israel gets to dictate which Palestinian prisoners are released. And so that's the holdup right now. Now, let me tell you the headlines. And I'm going to read you some of the headlines that have come out to this moment. Gaza is victorious. This is Iran's Khamenei celebrates ceasefire as a win for Hamas. The IRGC, that's the Iranian group, and the Iran-backed Houthis also celebrated the ceasefire as a success for the Palestinian resistance. Another headline: Gazans celebrate ceasefire deal. Hamas terrorists join the crowd. We are here and we will remain, armed Hamas member says. We will rebuild and Gaza will be more beautiful than ever, says one resident of the Strip. That's how they think the deal is going to go. All right. Trump and the Israelis. And this is actually the article I was going to do a story about yesterday afternoon. It's an excellent article from Jewish News Service by Jonathan Tobin, who is the editor-in-chief. He said Trump and Israelis may regret the hostage deal he wanted and got. Threats against Hamas and its allies, as well as pressure on Netanyahu, clearly played a decisive role. A likely revival, he writes, of the terrorist state. However, it's going to create new dilemmas for the alliance. And then the article went on to say, and this is a man who was very supportive of Donald Trump. It appears that the first foreign policy blunder of Trump's second administration may have occurred even before his inauguration took place on Monday. So they don't like the deal at all. Israel National News, here is their headline. Is this the best deal they could come up with? The goal of both Israel and the U.S. should have always been an unconditional surrender of Hamas. Now Hamas will learn that hostage taking is the most effective strategy to use against Israel. That's an op-ed from the Virtual Jerusalem website. Deal dents Bibi's pursuit of absolute victory. The dubious terms of the reported deal undermines the Israeli war effort and paints a dark scenario for the region for Netanyahu's government. Israel's agreement with Hamas to exchange hostages for prisoners to halt hostilities marks a dramatic pivot, raising questions about the erosion of its core wartime principles. While presented as a humanitarian breakthrough, the deal exposes fracture in Israel's declared objectives and casts a shadow over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's leadership. Okay, Israel Hayom. We mentioned this story yesterday. Why is Trump pushing Israel towards such a bad deal? And they said, as we recalled yesterday, the scenario is comparable. The U.S. allowing Guantanamo detainees to disperse among its borders with Canada and Mexico a year after 9/11, or permitting them to join the Taliban forces against U.S. troops in Afghanistan, a notion that defies logic. And then we have some of the bereaved families whose members have died fighting Hamas in Gaza. No deals with the devil. Bereaved families protest hostage deal outside Prime Minister's office. Members of the Gevura Forum of families who lost loved ones fighting in Gaza marched to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office in Jerusalem on Thursday morning, vowing to block the entrance in protest against the proposed hostage deal and Gaza ceasefire, chanting slogans like "A freed terrorist is tomorrow's murderer," "No deals with the devil." The group opposes the release of prisoners. The protest comes amid Netanyahu's claim that Hamas reneged on part of the agreement, which the terror organization has denied. So that happened this morning, Israeli time. And then Israel had to deny withdrawal from the Philadelphia corridor as part of the Gaza ceasefire deal because it was reported earlier they're going to leave. And remember, the Philadelphia corridor is this corridor between Gaza and Egypt, where all the terrorists used, that is Hamas, that leaky border to bring all their implements, their weapons, the machinery, whatever it needs to build these 500 miles of tunnel to bring them across the border. And Israel has been in charge of that for a number of months now, so there's nothing coming across. And supposedly, we heard that part of the agreement, Israel will leave that corridor, so Gaza will again have, access to the people in Gaza to munitions. In other words, they'll be able to rebuild. People are screaming about that. And so you hear a senior Israeli official said, contrary to misleading publications, Israel is not leaving the Philadelphia corridor. Israel will remain fully deployed throughout phase one. All 42 days, troop levels remain the same. And then you've got the religious Zionist Party, which is part of Netanyahu's coalition. They threatened to exit over the Gaza ceasefire. They were meeting today and said it's very serious. If you go through with this, we're going to bring down your government. We're going to exit the coalition because we can't be part of this. Smotrich, the leader of that, said they'll only remain in the coalition if the war on Gaza resumes. He met with Netanyahu, and evidently he didn't get what he expected from Netanyahu. And he said the ball is in your court. So as of right now, it's a little after 6:30 in the morning, Pacific time in the United States, 4:30 in the afternoon, Israeli time. We got no agreement. We got no deal. Nobody has any idea what's going to take place. So that's the breaking news today. So like we said, I think we had confusion yesterday. Look at today. So what we'll do We'll give you that. We've given you this. We'll leave it at this. And then when something finally breaks through later today, hopefully we'll come back and tell you what's gone on. But it's been one big thing of confusion. But one thing is clear. This agreement, as supposedly proposed, has been universally condemned. Every Israeli site I looked at yesterday, there's a number of them. I read about a half dozen of them that make comments. Every comment was negative against this agreement. What are you doing? This is selling out Israel. The leaders are treasonous, this and that. So it's not very popular. And that story by the Jewish News Service really laid it out very, very well and it's one you want to look at, JNS, by the man who's the editor in chief, said, look, as much as they may want to help, this is going to cause problems down the line. Short term, yeah, we'll get the hostages back, but long term, Gaza's going to rebuild and Hamas is going to do this all over again. So it's very, very confusing time. So I'm sorry, but that's the breaking news right now. And that's why we waited so long to come to you. So as we know something later in the day, hopefully, we'll get back to you one way or another. But anyway, that's where we're at. It's a little before 7 a.m. Time here in the United States Pacific time zone. And we're waiting to see what's going to happen. And thank you for praying for the fires. Yesterday, the winds were calm, and we're going to have a calming period here. So we're thankful for that. Anyway, I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching. We'll get you posted when we know something. Wow. Never a dull moment, is there? Until next time, and that'll be later today. May the Lord, as always, richly, richly bless you.